What's going on, everybody? Jay Howe here, and in this video we're going to talk about what's right with Diablo 3 and Blizzard and what they've managed to accomplish over the last 3 years. Now, sometimes you might see a video or two out there that says what's wrong, but I think we need to really focus on what's been so great about this game and has everybody playing 3 years later, and what's easily become one of my favorite games ever. Let's take a look at Diablo's history. Diablo, Diablo 2, and Diablo 3 have all been all-out, all-action slaughters in hopes to find that one piece of epic gear. Diablo 3 kept that theme alive. What sets Diablo 3 apart is the fact that it has taken time out to create new content over and over again. Gamers have had their voice over the years, and Blizzard constantly responds. And what did Blizzard do? They turned around and created one of the best games over the last few years by listening to the gamers. They've put in time, they've put in effort, and they've put in development. Some could say that it should have been this way the entire time, but you can't fault them for taking a chance and trying to change the history of Diablo into something different. What they discovered, however, is that their model over the last 15 years worked beautifully, and people still wanted more. And what did they do? They gave us exactly that. Over the last 3 years, you've seen nothing but change after change of what the gamers want and what they've clamored for. We wanted new content, we got new content. We wanted balance, they gave us balance. Things like the adventure mode, which brought in bounties which gave people a reason to go through and play the acts over again, or at least parts of the acts over again, brought in new gaming content for otherwise unplayed areas. Repeatability is huge for Diablo. Looking forward, they've taken that, and now with the approaching 2.3 patch, they've taken a look at it and said, hey, we still need to improve upon this. And what have they done? They've improved upon it again by making bounties a more viable thing to do. For most everyday players, rifts and greater rifts were what everybody was doing and still continues to do. Pushing that in another direction to give people a reason to play bounties is great. But what was mixed in there? Rift trials. Patch 2.3 is bringing with it the removal of the Rift trials and allowing people to go in and play the difficulty that they want. Without a doubt, it was recognized as one of the biggest hindrances of Diablo. Nobody liked Rift trials, and they let their voice be heard. Now you might ask yourself, why do so many people complain, and why do they do it so loudly? The answer to that is Blizzard listens. They go out of their way to fit what the gamer wants. If we take a look at Diablo 3, there is no subscription fee. There is no monetary value that you're going to have. No microtransactions currently in most regions. What incentive does Blizzard have to continue to put out new content, time, development, and money into their franchise? While it can be argued that they're preparing for future expansions, and of course the inevitable Diablo 4 sometime in our future, keeping the Diablo franchise alive and keeping the gamers happy will have them coming back game after game, patch after patch, expansion after expansion. Also to note is the fact that your everyday casual player that doesn't have hours upon hours to spend during the game had spent hours that they did have farming for those set pieces that could get them to the next level. What happened during that short time frame of those patches? Over the course of, say, a month or 2 months, the casual everyday player was able to obtain a full set finally for their favorite character. Unfortunately, what they found is that the next time a patch came, that set was no longer viable or was changed altogether. Beginning with patch 2.2, Blizzard made an emphasis to leave those sets mostly in place. For those casual players that wanted to continue playing Diablo, it made no sense for them to continue to play a game for hours on end and to find that what they'd been searching so long for was no longer that great. So what did they do? They left it in place. They reworked other inferior sets, and then they took new sets and applied them to several characters. What did that do? Previously, your most average player would top out at somewhere of a Greater Rift 40. Now, that's somewhere in the Greater Rift 50 range, while leaving the old set in place and still perfectly viable for those casual everyday players, while maintaining to appease the top tier players by giving them something new because they've already worn out the old set. Understanding the concept of appealing to both your casual players and your top level players is important. Too often do games go and appeal only to the top level player to keep them happy. They know that those people are going to play Diablo 3 no matter what, or whatever their game is. But understanding that there's another large crowd for such a casual game that does not eat up hours on end for everyday gamers was huge. Looking forward, we can expect to have new sets and reworks of old sets that weren't quite as viable to now take us to another tier of greater rifts. Now, some people on the high end are clearing 55 to 60, and it's likely that we'll see higher greater rifts while maintaining the old sets are still perfectly viable. With patch 2.3 is also bringing new difficulty levels. Going up from Torment 6 all the way up to level 10 should bring a degree of difficulty for the casual play in adventure mode, doing bounties and regular rifts. This is just another rework and probably an easy inclusion, but the fact that they managed to include this in this upcoming patch is big. Torment 6 became so much of a joke that if you're going to bring in new content, you might as well make it worthwhile to play and raise that difficulty bar to give people a challenge. Moving forward with patch 2.3 has included two huge pieces of news. We already touched on it briefly with Kanai's Cube, which was the basically prequel to the Herodric Cube. It's going to be bigger and stronger. For those of you that played Diablo 2, you know exactly what we're talking about. Also included is the Ruins of Sescheron. This is going to be a new playable area completely new to Diablo 3. Pushing new content after such a long period, it's been over a year since Reaper of Souls. Yet we've been through several patches and huge updates and now new content. It's still pushing the limits of Diablo 3 and keeping people around. The idea that we are all going to benefit as a community from Blizzard's devotion to their game and their series is huge and will keep us playing hours upon hours and enjoying every minute of it. Focusing on the positives of what Blizzard has done right over a 3+ year existence with Diablo 3 has been phenomenal. Listening to their gamers time after time again and balancing and adjusting and reworking and adding has been something that you won't see on many titles unless they're charging you a premium for it. The fact that we've gone without paying for this content directly after all this time is something you won't find for a game of Diablo's stature. It's something to be happy about and something to appreciate. Instead of focusing on the negatives and what Diablo has done wrong, let's focus on the positives and think about what they've done right and what they've done to fix it. There's a reason Blizzard's games have such a huge devotion. Their ability and willingness to listen to the gamer and to continue to provide top-tier content is something unheard of, and we are getting it in the form of Diablo 3. The future looks really bright. With the upcoming patch 2.3, it's going to be bringing in several old-school players as well as continue to promote a game to bring in new players just through word of mouth. The idea of an upcoming expansion also continues to keep people around. The fact that they've kept us occupied and kept us busy for months and months on end after every new patch has got to be something unheard of. As we continue to play our way through new patches and new content and await more new content, we're going to continue to slaughter Hell's minions and have one heck of a time doing it. If you're as excited about Diablo's future as I am, especially for a game that we've already spent hundreds, if not thousands of hours playing individually, leave a comment below and let me know what it is that's really kept you around. Whether it be the patches, the new content, the overall changes to gameplay, and the constant updates, just let me know. To me, I love every bit of what Diablo 3's managed to bring me through the good and the bad. We've all endured some bad elements, but the fact that they have fixed every single piece of it and continue to address those has just kept me around and will continue to keep me around. So that's what I've got to say about Diablo 3. Like I said, leave your comments below. If you're looking for more Diablo content as well as other gaming content, be sure and subscribe. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. Till next time, happy hunting. See you again.